Love 15, we are in a bit of a precarious spot right now. We obviously didn't win that first point, which we talked about how important it was, and we're at 73% right now. And this obviously is an incredibly important point as well, and walk us through why.
Well, you go to 85%, which is a nice jump getting back to 15 all. But if you drop to love 30, it is at 53%. So you've got a really big difference here.
Huge.
It's probably the second highest difference that we've seen so far.
Yep.
You know, driver's seat completely, and holy cow, love 30. Now, I think there's a little bit of a silver lining here. A lot of times when we think love 30, you know, alarm bells are going off, and you know, we ought to think the game's almost over. You still, you know, basically it's still 50-50. So don't think that it's, you know, it's all doom and gloom at love 30. You've still basically got, you know, half of a chance to get back in it. But you know, the tactics here I think are going to be somewhat conservative, always aggressive, but this may be one of the most conservative points that you play, because you definitely don't want to make an error at love 15.
So we're at love 15, and Craig, how are we going to play this point?
This needs to be aggressive, but also the most consistent point that you may play for the entire game. Keep in mind, 70% of all points end in an error, and you know, you absolutely do not want to make an error at love 15. Now, we don't want to go to the far side of the moon and start pushing. We're not going to do that. But we are also going to dig in and say, under no circumstances am I going to miss and gift you a love 30 lead. So everything revolves around making balls, playing high percentage patterns, and make the opponent change directions, make the opponent go for shots that are maybe a little more spectacular and a little bit more aggressive. So I'd like to start this off at love 15, anywhere at all at the body. You know, yes, we can go tee, yes, we can go wide. They're both, you know, very good options at different scores, but I want to see something, you know, aim dead at the body. Make them have to, you know, bring that racket, you know, the backhand right in front of them. And you're going to make, you know, haven't got any sidelines to deal with. You're going to make your first serve. A serve at the body means it's going to ricochet right back down the middle of the court. It's probably coming back, but it's also coming back, you know, it's going to be weaker. It's not going to be aggressive. And from there, moving into the middle of the court, remember, we don't want to make an error. So I would, for the first two shots at least, the first two shots, I would target that middle third, and I would go bang and bang right down the center of the court, bring the battle in, get your consistency going. You can, you know, even though you're not using direction, you're still using power, you're still using spin, you're still using height, you're still using depth. There's still a lot of other different things. Your court position, you can take away their time. You know, this is, again, we talked about it, another scoreline, big shots to big targets. A couple of balls down the middle of the court, make the opponent open up the court, and from there, you can then start attacking different directions. But there is no way I am going to make an error when I'm down love 15.
Yeah, I think the really important point you're getting at here is, you know, first of all, you've talked about there's a bunch of ways to attack people. One of them is to push them back.
Yes.
Right, so you push them back, you're going big shot, big target, and when you get to, I want to highlight this because it's really key to make sure it wasn't lost on folks, is that you make them change direction and you make them open up the angle for you.
Yes,
because
exactly.
Because with some of your patterns like the 2-1, you're the one doing stuff to create angles, which is great, but a little bit more high risk.
Yes.
But if you just go down the middle and you wait for them to go either at your backhand or your forehand, well, if they come over here to your backhand, you now have the angle over there.
Yes.
Or if they go to your forehand, you obviously have the angle over here.
Essentially, they've made you take 2 steps, but with the angle that they've opened, you can make them take 4 steps. So a lot of times the play, I call that opening the door. You want them to open the door. You want to move them a whole lot more. And you know, as you talked about, use your court position. Use time. Take away their time to take that big backswing, and make a ton of balls. You know, whatever it takes. This is a love 15. Whatever it takes to not miss. I'm going to have my shot tolerance higher. I'm going to have my consistency higher. I'm going to have my targets higher. They're the one that's going to make an error, and I'm also going to feed off that momentum getting back to 15 all.
I think we should call this pattern the staring contest because you're waiting for them to blink first.
Yeah, I like it a lot.